Three, two, one, and we welcome you to this lovable establishment that we call Jimmy Jam Sessions. And I am your host. That guy. So we welcome you to another episode. I'm going to do another little bit of a gaming one because we've done a handful of those. We're never going to stop doing all the other ones. And if you do enjoy all the other stuff that we have done on this channel, there is a thing. We like to call it a thing. It's called a subscribe button. You want to hit that? If you want to be alerted for all the new stuff that comes out. I'm not trying to be a broken record and run in circles, but if you do hit that, I will see all you bloody legends every time you get a chance to come in. We do appreciate you. We're jumping on here 1 year and we're still rolling. We love doing what we're doing. Let's keep it going. So I had a little bit of a conundrum, not necessarily a conundrum, but of a kind of a good epiphany. And I was thinking about this at work and trying to figure out ideas to put on the channel for many people, whether it's hockey, whether it's the GenX, whether it's the NFL season because we're full blown, any of the different tier lists that we're doing. And then I had one while I was doing my gaming run, and I'm thinking, what 8-bit classes need to be redone? Now, there's a lot of gamer content people and gamer creators and like graphic people that do have no life, and they recreate them on their own computer in their own production area, and they put out some good some ROM hacks, and they're on YouTube. Find them, you get entertained. I've seen a lot of them, everything from Metroid to all. There's just so many. There's so many. So what I'm going to do basically here is just in general, I'm not trying not to just shift too much. What exactly is there any game from the old 8-bit series? And I'm going to go Nintendo. I didn't play Sega. I'll go with the old NES. And what exactly is a game that you know off the top of your head that was, let's just say they were in the top 100 of all time, or maybe not. Doesn't matter at this point. That you think should have been redone, whether it's 16-bit or in today's world, in a PS5, in an Xbox, on PC. Now, before I even get to the NES, I will throw a little bit of an honorable mention from PS1, and that's this, N2O. Now, my lovable editor introduced me to this game, and all it is you're just riding a ship down tunnels and shooting a whole bloody load of insects. And the techno group Crystal Method did the soundtrack, and it was fire. I don't know what to do. This was quickly one of my favorite games I've ever played, and I definitely believe that should be redone for PS5, or at least in the PlayStation Store. I don't know. I can't find it. I'm having issues finding it. And I could be totally whacked. It could be there and I don't know it. But it's a PS1 classic. And if you find any of those retro stations that plays like the 100,000 arcade games and all around, you don't find this. So, PlayStation, Sony, you got some work to do. Find this game. Now, let's go jump into the gist of this whole entire thing. And I'm going to start out simply enough. Ninja Gaiden. Guys, in case people don't know, there is, and they do make this, all three in 16-bit. It's in an SNES. They did, in fact, redo this in an SNES cartridge, and it's extremely rare. Like if you go on eBay, there's some bunch that wants $1,500 for it. But they did remake it for 16-bit. Not a whole heck of a lot of difference, cinema-wise and everything. But I'll tell you, it's one thing that the Ninja Gaiden franchise went to the Ninja Gaiden Sigma storyline. And I tried playing that. It messed me up. I might have to try again. But the original 3 is what started cinematics in the NES era. Do all 3 of those. I think that would be a good start. That'd be a really good start if you just redid everything and enhance the storyline as well. Now, I never played Rygar, but I have a couple people I know that play this, and if you actually watch a walkthrough on YouTube, this game is long. I mean, you better have this saved. Like the boss is hard, and I know somebody's gonna look at me and just be like, Rygar is one of the easiest guys. Dude, it takes you about over an hour to beat this game. I mean, if you got nothing left to look, this game could be redone. Do it 16-bit. But today's world, I don't know if Rygar could hold its own, but it was a long game. If you're gonna make a long game like this with like as an adventure game, do it. Um, I'm going to bring back some arcade messes. Kung Fu Master, one of the best arcade games I've ever played, but people need to realize it led to that. It led to the original Kung Fu in Nintendo. So that pretty much was that. The original Kung Fu Master was, I mean, obviously graphic wise to the NES. I mean, to be completely honest with you, same gameplay, but as far as like pixel wise and movement wise, it was apples to oranges. Like the jumping was different, controls were really, really like on the edge of close to being the same, but movement wise, but still you can beat this game in 5 minutes on the NES. But could you redo it? 16-bit, 32, or maybe the Switch? Think about it. Now I put this in for myself. This was labeled number 87, I think, in the IGN Top 100. This game, you could play this for 4 hours and have a ball. This was a mix of shooter and Zelda type of things. Like going through mazes, going through the outer world, going through the shooting stages, and it had some of the ugliest bosses you've ever seen in your life. And this had a great story. And the protagonist is a chick and turned into a ship. Now, I don't know how many people know about the Guardian Legend, but I recommend this game getting redone. I saw somebody do a sequel to it, and it blew my mind. But it was still 8-bit, but it was still pretty BDJ. But redo this in today's game. I don't even care if you do it 16. I don't even care if you did it not like Gradius, but you have to have the outer world specimens in that game. You had to, because that was part of the story. I have to throw the original Ninja Turtles. I don't want to talk about the arcade, because technically that was an upgrade. You went from NES to the actual four joystick cabinet, which was one of the best arcade games in history. Then they did a second one called Turtles in Time. They tried. It wasn't the same when they brought the arcade game to the NES. It wasn't the same, and you had to have that actual extension to your NES so you can play 4 players. It's not very often that you were able to get a bunch of people on a Friday night and try to beat that, but you tried to beat this, but you could only do one person at a time. In the way of adventure games, I would redo this one in today's world. I think it would be an instant classic. The story was great. And people who did this on YouTube and people who still played this game, they knew Donatello was the strongest character. It's not even it's don't even put this up. Um, why not Mega Man? Why not Mega Man? Why not Mega Man X? And then when they redid it to this kid. This guy was mean. He's mean. He's got that mean look on his face. So they kind of redid Mega Man for 7 and 8. And then they went back to the original 8-bit for 9, 10, and then there's an 11 out. I don't know if that's done by a certain one. I don't remember. But Mega Man in today's world, I don't know if you could really do it because people will remember what Mega Man was. and it was just a different story every time. You thought you got Dr. Wily every time, and he finds a way to escape. Same deal with Mega Man X when X tries to find Sigma. Um, it was just the same story all over, but when you fought 8 robots and go through Wily's castle, that was a tradition. People understood it. They had to figure out what weapon was best against every boss. That was Mega Man, and that still is probably maybe top 10 iconic franchises in early video game history. I don't know about this game, though. I don't know about Ghosts and Goblins. They did redo it. They redid it and they called it Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection. Now, the thing is to this game, I I have a little conundrum. I have a little bit of beef with this, and I like to joke about it on and off. This was one of the hardest games, and it still is, on the NES. It's twice as hard on the Super NES, Ghouls and Ghosts. The kicker is you are going through the entire levels to get to the end. Then you are told by your own girl you're trying to rescue, you have to go back and get the bracelet. So you have to do everything all over again. Thankfully enough, it doesn't happen in this game, but guys, don't be fooled. Don't fall for that. I'm saying that as a guy, you know, we're with you. But Ghosts and Goblins is one of the best Capcom games in their franchise, but it's also one of the most difficult. I saw a walkthrough of Resurrection. It's hard as hell. What about this one? Blaster Master. Now they did redo a couple of these. I saw one called Blaster Master Zero, and it had an actual storyline. And it was pretty cool, actually. It was twice as long, though. But you're running around, you're this little guy, you found a frog, a pet frog, goes into a hole, you go after a pet frog in a hole. And what do? You find that car. How lucky you have to be. So, yeah, Blaster Master, they've redone it a couple times with different storylines. There's a Blaster Master Zero. Go look it up. But today's game, but would you want it in today's era and redone? Good question. Both sides of the spectrum, the car driving and your little guy running around on land. Now, I put pro wrestling on here, the original pro wrestling, especially because of these 6 guys. Now, I don't see any reason why they absolutely have to redo this, because the easiest way to do this is WWE 2K. You could redo all these guys, put their moveset. You don't have to do a darn thing. But the origination of how the ring is made, I didn't put the picture of the ring, I should have, but I didn't. But all 6 of these guys are iconic pieces of NES history, especially Starman. He's probably the most popular character there. I played it. And plus he had 2 moves that you'd use all the time. I think they could redone this and did like an NES version of redoing pro wrestling. And maybe add a couple new characters and you could still create your own. I think NES could get away with it. It'd be an NES thing. AEW and WWE wouldn't have anything to do with it. It'd be their own. I would consider it. Just thinking. Now, Kid Icarus, the original one of the best, doesn't get as much love as Metroid. But they did redo it for this game. It was on the 3D. It was on the 3DS called Uprising. This was a long game. I watched a walkthrough. It was long, 7 hours, and so many different twists. But the cool thing was they kind of kept a little bit of the comedy that was from the original with the Eggplant Wizard. All 3 of the first bosses, Twin Bellows, Hughdraw, Pandora. They talked back. They added freaking comedy throughout the entire thing. Would you want Kid Icarus? You can get it now on the Nintendo shop off the Switch, which is pretty cool. Not Uprising. I don't think Uprising's in it, but would you want it? Like in a see in a big time CD game like a redid store, or just the original game redone by way of, just don't get stuck with that third level castle where you were in a shop and yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The very next door, you're in a Pandora and you're screwed. Metroid, they've already done that. They've already redone a handful of games. Did it on the 64. Did it on did it with Metroid Prime, and when they did it with the Wii, they had Metroid the Other M, which was cinematic, but it was also such a long game. But when they came out with Dread, I think that kind of settled everything down. So, Metroid, would you want that in a cinematic redone? It's going to happen from what I've read. They did the Super Mario Brothers movie. I think Metroid's next. This I need to see happen. It's Metal Gear and Metal Gear Solid Snake. Now, we know the Metal Gear franchise is pretty much done, but seriously, you redid Snake Eater for PS5. Do this and this. It's not that difficult. You know the story. Redo those two in PlayStation cinematic form. Do you know how much you're going to make out of that? Konami, Hideo Kojima, make that happen. Now, I'll throw this real quick. I'm going to wind it down real quick here because I don't want to go too long. Dragon War, they made, I think, 5 of them. I'm not a big RPG guy. You know what I'm trying to say. But these type of games, these adventure games, Faxanadu, Star Tropics, all those other ones that have a major story to it, Astaniax was another one. You could easily redo these. And trust me, RPG gamers will jump on it. And I will throw the last one, and that's Contra. Now, I was told Contra, excuse me as I fix myself up here, it now has been redone a couple times. They made a Contra 4, because everyone remembers how big Contra 3 was on the Super NES. They did the 2 for Nintendo. They now have there's a Contra Neo for the PlayStation, but they apparently have a new one that just has been released. I don't know if it's what console it's on or it's just PC, but they brought a lot of the old elements from the original, from the first 3. And I expect you, or if you're a Contra fan, go look for it. So I pretty much threw out there just a handful of games that should be redone, whether to 16-bit or to today's world on a PS, an Xbox, a console, or on keyboard. But give me one game, and I know there's a ton. I don't want to make this too long. What's a game that you want to see redone big time from 8-bit to today's world? Even if it's a ROM hack or something like that, throw it in the comments. That's going to be something for you gamers if you think there's something that needs to be redone. I don't want to hear something about Mike Tyson's Punch Out, because Punch Out got redone and it was such a goofy game. So there's a bunch. Throw something out there, and it's a good talk. You made it to the end. We appreciate you. Thumbs up, throw a comment, hit the like if you like the video. I'm getting out of here. There's a lot of stuff I'm going to be putting out down the road. The bar is closed. I will see you legends in the next one. And I don't expect me to be done and redid an 8-bit to 16-bit, because this is an old school gamer. And there's something called NyQuil. I'd like to go to bed. I'll see you guys in the next one.